sure I
well,
fully covered
okay, I was
this.
speaking of ill will, let's go to the recall. There is a group of people called Stand Up Elyria that's trying to get a recall election underway for the mayor's, your job. They gathered signatures and fell short of the first round, but the city charter gives them a 10-day window to remedy the problem. And they've gathered double the number of extra signatures that they need. It seems likely that if the number that are tossed out this time is roughly the same as the number tossed out last time, there will be a recall election. How are you going to approach that, and how will it affect the way city's business is conducted?
Well, we're accepting the fact that that likely will be on the ballot. We're proceeding, a few moments a day, thinking about and preparing for that recall opportunity that's likely to happen sometime in December. So we're devoting some of our time. I guess philosophically, I look at it as though, we have challenges everywhere we look in terms of what we need to overcome as a city, and certainly for myself personally and as an administration, we have challenges everywhere we look. And this is just one more on the list of many challenges. So, we'll be addressing this, and the other part of it is that some of the sentiments, negative sentiments that exist are based on lack of information, or some residents being not informed properly about things for various reasons. Either they're not taking the time to understand something, or me and city government not spending enough time trying to explain things to them. In any case, I think considerable time and effort needs to be placed on explaining things to the community to help them understand, because at the end of the day, good people, good intentions, smart people can disagree, and that will always happen. But I think if people understood all the facts better, there'd be less disagreement among some of these things. So we need to do a better job explaining things, knowing that we're still going to have disagreements. That's why we have elections, and why there's usually not unanimous votes. There's a body of people that are not happy with who is in office at any time, including now. So we'll be using this as a time to spend time explaining to the community what we're doing, why we're doing it, and use that as part of our general governance of the city.
The recall election is kind of a bizarre election. There's no opponent except you, maybe.
Right.
You're running against yourself.
Right.
Mayor Plisquillic in Akron recently survived the recall effort. Will you be calling him for advice on how to campaign in a recall?
Have already done so. So we've had conversations and have been given some good advice, and how to pursue it. I haven't talked to him directly on this, but through people associated with it, we've had conversations and have a little more conversations. So we have to treat this very seriously. This is a number of signatures. I know 3,000 signatures more or less were gathered. We do have 35,000 signatures to be had in terms of how many are registered voters. But the other part of it is here you've got a motivated handful or so of people that spend a great deal of their personal time collecting these signatures, and there's a body of the public that's not happy with their current office holder, me. And you put those together and have this recall. But it shouldn't be overlooked the fact that the fire union and the members within the fire department are playing a very large role in this. If you counted the signatures that were gathered, probably in the neighborhood of 75% of those signatures were gathered by somebody, either a firefighter or a family member of one of them. So there's a great deal of effort there, and I think that will be part of what we will describe to the community, that this is several things going on here. Among them is, does this community want the fire department, the fire union particularly, to be running roughshod over this community? That's going to be a part of what's going to be taking place here, and I think the outcome will be, in no small measure, the community response to that.
How do we ever get back to having amicable relations between the mayor and the fire department?
Well, I hope it will happen. I think Chief Benton has stepped in and provided very strong leadership. He and I work very, very well together. I genuinely like the person, as I've liked pretty much everyone else we've dealt with personally. But he comes into it with a real sincere desire to reform the department, to straighten things out in terms of discipline and other areas. And he and I are very, very largely on the same page. And I think as time goes, I think tempers will be settled. We do have this this contract that we're in the middle of negotiation. I shouldn't say middle, at the beginning of, and hopefully some changes will come from that. And I think we're getting closer to amiable relationships, but we still have a long way to go.
So since we're talking about the fire department, let's talk a little bit with name association. A rising star in Elyria's political front right now is Mary Swarka. And it's no secret that Mary has a strong ties to the fire department. Her father is a former firefighter. Her brother is a firefighter. Do you now believe that the city council may have someone on the inside who's going to be working for the fire department and not working for the city?
Well, the fire department is a key component of our city. So people have their predispositions for one area of city government or another. Different things motivate people to participate in being on council in the first place. And Mary certainly has a connection, as you described, within the fire department, but ultimately it takes a collection of all of council and administration, the mayor, to make decisions. And that's one voice, and ultimately any arguments she would make will be tested on the merits of the argument. So while she may have predispositions toward the department, I think good decisions will still be made. I think there's a great deal of big spotlight on the department right now, and there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on the department. So I guess I think things will work out fine, and I'm not expecting any more challenge than anything else with that perspective.
She has hinted that she might be interested in your job 2 years hence. Does that make it easier or harder for you to work with her when she gets on council?
I appreciate even those that are adversaries, and I'm not going to put her in an adversarial position by saying this, but I appreciate people who invest their time and roll up their sleeves and take an interest in city government. Even the people in the recall effort, they're participating in city government and so on. Again, decisions will be made on their merits, what people's motivations are, and what they plan to do a year or several down the road. I can't control what other people do, nor let it impact making good decisions that are in front of us. And I hope she and others would take the same approach to make good decisions that are in front of us based on what's in the best interest of the city and not necessarily our own political interests down the road. That's the way I've conducted my actions, and I hope she and others would do the same.
Because of so many of the issues that are facing the city right now, the income tax failing, the possibility of layoffs, the recall effort that you're facing, there is a portion of the charter that calls for you to just resign and turn the reins of the city over to someone else. Is that an option for you? Do you see that as an option of just resigning?
No. I mean, it's physically an option, but it will not be entertained, believe me. No, this prospects of doing this would, I view, overturn an election that took place just 2 years ago. I mean, our charter and its provisions and how few signatures are necessary in the process, I don't believe many people believe that when the recall provision was provided in our charter that this is what they had in mind, for people that have political differences of opinion, for that to be the cause of a removal of a person from office. And in reality, what can happen is a few thousand people signing a signature, and what will likely be a very low turnout in the special election will be a very small number of people that could overturn a regularly scheduled election 2 years ago. So to simply step down based on that will not happen. I will not be doing that, so I will make my case to the public at a special election that will likely happen sometime in December. Okay, and I'm told we're out of time. They're about to cut the thing, but if you have a quick question, Andy, I think I'm going to
How's leaf collection going?
Leaf collection is going so-so. We will get through the city, but we're not going to use any or very little overtime, so people just need to be a little patient. If they can bag up their leaves, that would be a great deal of help. Okay, so time goes fast as always, and until next month, bye for now.